Right. Okay. Bit of a mixed bag this month, really, of a sort of few sort of things which I'll just sort of briefly list them out, and then we can go back and do them. The first one was just a sort of reminder about using the report generator with bulk email. Second one was really sort of some thoughts on emergency contacts. I think there's been some discussion about that, about what we're going to do about that. We've been talking to Richard at Easingwold about sort of privacy and security and in the agreement we've got, and so I just wanted to cover that for a while. Richard from Stelling hopefully is here because he wants to talk about the group list frequency.
Yep. Okay.
Brief chat about what I've called non-tiny pages.
Big pages then.
Well, no, not really. No, just another way round. Instead of using tiny MCE to actually generate your pages, it does in some restrictions, and so another way of doing it. So talk about Group Meet, or Google Meet, and whether it's still being used, and then the inclusion of the newsletter in a sort of bookcase, which Alan's going to tell us about, and then some discussions about importing calendars and things. So anyway, let's start off and see where, and if anybody else has got anything else, perhaps they want to talk about, maybe they can tell us now, or we'll just bring it up at the end or whatever. Right. Okay. Fine. Right. Really, just to start off with, just a reminder about the report generator and how it can be used with bulk email, which probably a lot of you know already, but I thought it'd be worthwhile just a bit of a refresher.
So we just wanted to remind everybody about the way you can use the report generator for bulk email, and I just wanted to do a small example, really, just so that if you haven't seen it, it is quite easy to do, and it gives you an opportunity to send bulk emails to different selections of people. So the one I've just chosen is if you wanted to send a bulk email to people who are paid, but let's say are not gift aid registered, or have said they're not gift aid registered, you might want to say, are you sure you're not? You might want to send them an email. Just a thought. So so I'm just going to quickly do one of those, and we'll just see what it gets to. Right. So the information about whether people renewed or not sits in the renew table, and the person's name, or the names, fits in the tutor table. So if we just select those two tables to start with, all we're interested in here is the person's the ID, membership ID, and the field which says paid. So this is to find out people who have paid and who have paid with no gift aid. So that, and then from the tutor table we need the name ID, and this particular field is one you must always have when you're selecting for bulk email. It always must have the name ID from the tutor table, because that's the way it looks up into the in bulk email. You can have all sorts of other stuff as well. You can have all sorts of other stuff as well, but it doesn't get carried across into bulk email. It just selects the people who fulfill those parameters. And the old one that everyone forgets is deleted Y. Right. So I've just selected 6 fields. the first thing to do is you've got to join the two tables together, so that so you need to do that by just making certain that the membership name in one table is linked to the membership name. Membership number in one table is linked to the membership number in the other, and you just do it by doing that and add. So now we've linked those two together. All we're doing now is just looking for live people. So this is where deleted Y, you really almost always need to have deleted Y equal to an input value of 0. If you don't have deleted Y equals 0, it will pick everybody, all your dead ones as well. Those who are no longer members, should I say? Yes. Okay. Then the next thing really is just to look at the. Now you need to know that they have joined, and they've joined with no gift aid, and that in this particular case is the paid field, and that paid field is equal to 2. So you add that one, and that's it. So what we've done there. So now I'll have to give it a name. No. So this name here you stick will end up sitting in your bulk email in a minute.
Chris, can you just clarify that paid field? 2 means paid without gift aid.
2 means gift, yes, and 1 is with gift aid.
Right, thank you.
And obviously 0 means they haven't paid.
Okay, thanks.
So if we now sort of that, I should say that that is in the structure, the table structure section. It does list those codes in there, so if you know where to go, you can find out what each one of them means. Right. So we've run that, and this is selected 20 people. So the report thing has just selected these 20 people who have paid without gift aid, and all we need to do to actually put it into bulk email is just export to bulk email, and it now says it's now created it in there with that name.
Chris, I've just looked at the table. It says that's just to show they've paid.
No, no, it's 0 is not paid. 1 is paid with gift aid. 2 is.
All right, right. I'll amend it then.
All right. Okay. Well done. Good. So okay. So now if we now go back, if we now look in bulk email, we have got a report here called, which has selected those 17. Yes, okay. And what so there were only 17 in bulk email, and there were 20 on the original. That is because 3 of them don't have email. So you're cut down to 17, obviously, because you can't send to people who don't who haven't got email. And then thereafter, then you can just create your email, whatever you want to say. Give it a subject. Update and just send. So I don't know whether people have used that or used that quite a lot, but anyway, it's just something there which we put in some time ago, and I thought it was worth just reminding everybody about it.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
I use it.
Yeah.
Really useful. Can I just ask, at what point would it update? If I come back to that bulk email 6 months time,
It does.
would I have to redo the report? Or will it update?
Always tell that.
I guess no, it doesn't get a
yes. So if you're using standard standard bulk email or bulk email selections, it comes up with this refresh list here. And if you change it at any time, so change this one here, show all members, and you just add another one, it will turn off the refresh.
Yeah.
So that's now gone. So it won't refresh it for you anymore because you've made a change to it. And the bulk email one's the same. So your best bet, if you want to use something again, is to keep the report rather than keep the which you could have done. I didn't save it, but you can obviously keep it there and use that again.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Next on the list really was
Chris. Before you move on, I'm not saying that they don't know. Is everyone aware of that table that shows you the database structure and what have you, so you can tell what fields mean what, or what numbers in what fields mean what?
Good question. If not, is everybody aware, or
A
no?
bit rusty on it, Chris, at the moment. I haven't used it for a while.
I'll send you. I'll send out the link to it and where it is.
Well, it's part of your menu system, isn't it?
It is, but okay. So you might have changed the menu name or something. So it's the link. Is it? It's well, I might have got it here actually. If I go into administrator. What do you think it's called?
Data structure. You're looking.
Oh yeah, right.
If
I've
we go
updated it now.
Sorry.
I've updated it now.
Okay, good. So if we go and have a look at renew. Yes. So I think probably you might add, Neil, 1 with gift aid, 2 with no gift aid, 0 not renewed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you do want to know who hasn't renewed, then you can run that with a paid equals 0. Okay, shall I move on?
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay. There's been some discussion about emergency contacts, about whether or not, 1, they should be made mandatory, and 2, what information is kept if they are. And I know. I haven't seen Wrexham. Is Wrexham there? I think they were keen to have it made mandatory. So I don't know what do people want, and what should we do? Do people want to leave it just as it is and not use it at all?
Well, if you wanted to satisfy everybody, couldn't you make it like some of the other fields where it is optional or not?
Yeah, put a switch on it, because we had a committee meeting and decided at this stage we don't necessarily want to make it mandatory.
Do we know what Wrexham's logic is?
Yes, I think they want to make certain that the people that all their members provide one, or particularly new joiners provide one. I imagine they also want the same existing members.
It's a good thing, but whether it should be mandatory or not, I don't know.
Certainly in Scarborough, we would be very against that. We have at least 3 people who either don't have anybody they can give as a contact, or would refuse to give it, even if you were to sort of ask them, and they would not be members if we made it mandatory.
Exactly. If you're a real Billy no mates and you've got nobody and it's mandatory, how are you going to join?
Yes, well, you put Donald Duck in, don't you?
If it's a good idea, then people will do it voluntarily, and those who don't wish to can therefore not have to supply the information.
Yeah, we have pestered our members to the point where an awful lot of them have gone, okay, I give up, I'll give you a blooming name and a number and what have you, just to get us off their backs.
Well, the leader could say, if we're going out on a trip, I'm not taking you.
I think if you're going on a trip, by the way, what you could do is just have a little card. Each person carries a little card in their wallet or their phone with a contact number.
That's what we do. We actually have a list of people on the trip, and everybody is given a slip of paper with their own contact number on it in case they get lost or fall over.
Yeah, I think all our walking groups do that as well. They make sure that everybody's getting.
We don't do it with walking groups. We do it with outings. Yeah.
Yeah, we're a brand new U3A, and we've taken the guidance that every group leader is responsible for asking for emergency contact in a format that's suitable for them, because we worked out it's hard enough for me to get into the U3AWeb and find out things, and if I wasn't available, it'd be nugatory to have it. So yeah, they're using postcards or lists at their home.
Yes, David, there is a printout of which it's if the group leader can just go and click the print, and it will print out all the members with their emergency things, if their contacts, if they want them.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, and I think I think there's two issues that sort of I've got about it. One is, should you, if you want to put an emergency contact in, should you actually inform the person you're putting it in?
Yes.
Before you put it in?
Yes.
Should really, shouldn't you?
GDPR sort of thing, privacy thing here that people should have. And the other is, if you do make it mandatory, what happens if you do not have anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you said about the GDPR thing, Chris. I suspect that if, I don't know, if I put my daughter's phone number in there and somebody from the U3A phoned my daughter and said, your dad's in hospital, he's blown himself up at the chemistry class or whatever, I think the last thing on her mind is, where the hell did I get my phone number from?
Yeah.
Yes, I know, but from sticking to the law, if you like, then you are. If you,
Yeah.
Which is so. So it sounds to me that if you do make it mandatory, there needs to be some sort of switch to be able to. Somebody can say, "I don't have anybody," but the trouble is, as soon as you do that, people will say if they don't want to do it, they'll just give that anyway, and then you're back where you started again.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, if you make it mandatory, they can put any old rubbish in anyway. So.
My personal view, Chris, is as is fine.
I would agree, as it is, it's fine.
I agree.
I would agree as well.
Agree.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Saved your job.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, I'll talk to Alan. I think there's somebody else who wanted the mandatory who replied. I can't remember.
Yeah, I said I'd agree with that, but having heard you all speak, I'm happy to leave it as it is, actually.
Okay, good.
We've got membership cards with contact details on the back, and when I take trips out, I do run off the list, and I speak to anyone who hasn't put anything down, and they either give it to me on the trip or they don't. But I'll go with the majority. That's fine.
The one advantage, Chris, with it being in U3AWeb for the others that say about having a little card and this, that and the other, if it's in U3AWeb and they belong to multiple groups, that contact detail is then available across all the groups they belong to.
Oh yeah.
Whereas if they do it on a little card, will they if they belong to, I don't know, the IT group and then they belong to a walking group, they take it when they're on the walking group, but have they got it with them when they're with the IT group? So
true enough. Yeah.
There's also an issue with data protection with cards, because you know, if people start losing them or whatever, well, I think what we've encouraged our group leaders to do is to print out the list from the website before they go anywhere, particularly the walking groups, the cycling groups, that sort of thing. And the group leader takes it with them, and when they come back, they shred it, because next time they might need be some changes and there might be a new list.
Yeah. Yes. I suppose at the end of the day, the best thing would be to get them all to tattoo their emergency contact on their wrist.
That's got nasty precedents, Chris. That.
Right. Okay. So we'll not do anything about that. Right. I've been talking to Richard at Easingwold about updating some of the agreements that the agreement that they have in terms of getting the privacy and security stuff right, if you like, because the laws changed in the past few years, and then maybe our agreements are probably a little out of date. So I think what we ended up agreeing was that we would rather than put all the sort of privacy stuff into it, because there's a lot of legislation about it, we would just put in a statement about the GDPR regulation and the 2018 Data Act, or whatever. I can't remember what it's called at the moment, but that we would add that to make sure that's included in the agreement. Now, I think awful lot of the agreements that we haven't got that information, haven't got that line in there saying that. So if you're interested in, well, as I say, Richard's put together a revised agreement with just brought some of the things up to date. So if you're interested in a sort of template of an up-to-date agreement for using the system, let me know, and I'll send it out to you, and then we can perhaps organise that, and that will have this GDPR thing in properly in there as well. So just let me know if you want to do anything. If you do, right.
So you're saying that this is something that you update, or is it something we would request from you to update our own?
Well, I think probably what he would need is just just a new agreement, if you like, just to, both of us to sign, and if you like, so we would have the latest legislation in there, or it would reference the latest legislation, I should say, particularly on data and security. But
this is our responsibility, not yours. Is that right?
Well, no, I think probably no. It's what it's saying is that the data that you put in there, the system is secure, and therefore making certain that other people can't access your information, or and it's kept safe, and all these sorts of things that are in the legislation. So essentially, it's for me to provide, I think.
I think it was provided by Brian from Holmes Chapel. He did when it first came out. That's my recollection.
He did a separate document, yes, but it wasn't in the agreement.
Right.
And of course, things have changed anyway, haven't they? With well, it hasn't. It's going to be changed, isn't it? With all the EU legislation is going to be removed and that sort of thing. So.
Would it make sense, Chris, for you to send out the new agreement when everybody's renewal is due? And then you send the invoice out?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Good idea.
I could do that, but it will be 11 months before that happens. So what I could do is I could just send out the document to everybody as a template format. And if you let me know whether or not it's something that you want to move across to it and change to the existing one, or you're just happy to carry on as you are. That might be the best way, isn't it? Yeah, okay. I'll do that. Right, okay. The next thing was the group list, and Richard from Stenning has made a couple of suggestions about how the group list in terms of should be displayed. So, Richard, do you want to sort of say what you want, and do you want to present, or do you want to talk about it?
Happy to just talk about it. I might present if need be. It comes from the fact that nearly all of our groups use rolling dates. And when we first moved on to U3AWeb about must be 3 years ago, about 3.5 years ago or so, they were set up, and the groups were a bit all over the place, and we really struggled to get group coordinators or group leaders to set up their groups correctly. And so in the end, the group coordinator went into every group, and they are all rolling dates. So we don't have any groups or activities that run for a term or a season. They all run for something like second Tuesday every month, or third Friday, or whatever it might be. And so they were all switched on to rolling dates, and that was done in January 2020. And for the next couple of years, when you look at the frequency column on the activities, now I can see the ones that are set up that Chris has got on here at the moment. It would say, because the rolling dates were set in January 2020, they all said, let's take the first one there, Berwyn Test Group. No, let's take the next one down, Bridge. It would say on selected Tuesdays from 1st of January 2020. And all of our groups had that date in them. So it'd be third Tuesday from the 1st of January 2020. So 2 or 3 years later, we've now got a lot of complaints coming in of people saying your website is out of date. You know, everything's 3 years old. It's all going from 2020. So I said to Chris, well, what can we do about this? And Chris's resolution of this initially was to change the from date to the current date. So now a lot of them say something like third Tuesday every month from the 15th of May 2023. And they also say for a certain number of weeks, which I don't really understand where that comes from. I asked Chris if we could, in the frequency column, when there is a rolling date, when a group is just going to carry on the third Tuesday every month, if we could just ignore the dates and just say third Tuesday every month, no from or starting date. And Chris said quite rightly, well, if we're going to make that change, then it's something that could affect other groups. So bring it to this forum and see if that would affect other groups. I don't know how many other groups use rolling dates a lot or a little. If you only ever run 10-week terms, it wouldn't affect you. But I would ask that we could have the frequency for a rolling date group, just to say monthly on the first Wednesdays. End of story. No dates, no how many sessions, because it's going to carry on indefinitely, in our view, until the group comes to an end. So that's my plea. Could we? I mean, if you want, I could show you some examples of our groups, and you can look at how it looks. If you want me to present that, I will.
Well, that would suit us, I must admit, but maybe not everybody else.
Just add a little bit. The reason why it comes up with 52 or 53 sessions is because rolling dates aren't really rolling dates, because you can't have them for infinity. So a rolling date means it actually runs out in a year's time.
Right. If it came up with 52, 53 sessions, I wouldn't object to that. But the change that you made recently, Chris, to make it run from the current date, firstly, it only changes to the current date once somebody goes in and looks at the group. If I go in and open the group page, when I come back to it, it's from the current date. And of course, that changes every time I go in and look at the group to the next current date when I look at it. So there are still many of our groups which are showing 2020, because I haven't gone into every single one of them and had it update. So
if nobody goes into it, nobody knows it's under 2020 then, do they?
Yes, because even if you're not logged in, if you just look at it, they all say 2020. Unless I go into that group and come out again, and then it updates.
You mean it doesn't do it on the list? It does it on the group list?
On the group list, on the front page, whether you're logged in or not logged in, many of them still show 2020.
Really? Okay. All right. I thought we all... Fine. All right.
They update to today's date once somebody goes and looks at the group page and comes out again.
Yes.
The thing about the 52 sessions, that doesn't worry me one way or the other. If there's 52 sessions, people can figure out, well, that's running for the next year. But quite a few of ours say 11 sessions or 12 sessions or 13 sessions, even though they're updated to today's date. I don't know why they're not 52 sessions if they're a rolling date.
Because they're monthly meetings, I guess.
Okay, so if they're monthly, not weekly, I can see that might be 12 sessions. So some of them are 11 sessions.
And of course, they may have excluded some.
Yeah, they could exclude them, and that's fine. Yeah. My request would just be that if it's a group that's a rolling date, that's just running on a regular basis throughout the year, indefinitely, could we just ignore the start date, end date, number of sessions even? Just have Friday, third Tuesday, fourth Wednesday, whatever. But it is frequency, not starting time. Frequency is third Tuesday.
Well, Chris, what would that do to the meeting dates table? Because at the moment, the start date controls when the first record.
Oh no, actually, no, it doesn't actually.
Not the rolling date.
The list of the things on. If we go into one that's like this one here, this drop-in one, for instance, that's a rolling one, and It wouldn't. It always starts on current date.
Oh, I know that does. I meant in the underlying table.
Oh, in the underlying table.
Because I thought that then deletes every date prior to that start date.
Yes, it does.
I'm not suggesting we do away with start dates or end dates. You can have those still.
Yeah, you just not show.
Just don't display them because people are looking at it thinking, "Blimey, nothing's happened for the last 2 years."
Right. Okay. It's the wording of the frequency you're asking for, isn't it?
It's just what is displayed when there is a rolling date.
Yeah. Just this column here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it says, let's go back to this one. So currently it says Wednesdays for 52 sessions from the 22nd of May to the 22nd of May 2024. So what you're saying is Wednesdays, really? Is that all?
That's kind of a weird one, isn't it? But that's Tony Blair for you. I mean, all of our. I don't think we have any that just say Wednesdays. And I suppose I don't know if we've got any that are weekly. We might have.
What's the
most of them will be second Wednesday or something.
What's the column header, Chris? Is there a header for the column?
Frequency.
So if they're weekly Wednesdays, put weekly Wednesday. If they're monthly,
Can we have a look at Richard's website, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. How can I present?
I'll unpresent them.
Okay.
Because this is something that I've struggled with as a brand new person, but I think ours in Ipplepen looks good now.
Okay. Can you see that?
We'll do it in a minute. There we go.
Yeah. Have you got art appreciation at the top and watercolor painting?
Yeah.
So those first couple are ones that you can see I've been into recently. So art appreciation now says monthly on third Monday from 22nd of May for 12 sessions. Okay, so it's monthly. I can see why it's 12 sessions. Watercolor painting is fortnightly on Fridays for 52 sessions. Don't know why fortnightly, 2 years worth. And then discussion 2 is one that nobody's been into recently. It's still running, but it says monthly on the first Tuesdays from the 7th of January 2020 for 52 sessions, implying that it will have finished at the end of 2020.
So, Chris, would it not be possible just to get rid of the wording from the word from onwards, and just leave it as the first one monthly on third Mondays, second one fortnightly on Fridays?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm asking, but only when there is a rolling date.
Yes.
You know, when you've got a 10-week term, then it would need to be as it is.
Yes.
But for rolling dates, which are groups that just carry on every month or every week, this seems that it's presenting problems for us.
Yeah. Okay.
But I actually like ours that now says month. In this case, ours says Monday on third Mondays from 22nd of May. I quite like the fact that 22nd of May is in there as a reminder to people without them looking at their calendars, especially, yeah. So,
David, the rolling ones changes as you change. So if you leave it a week and then go into that one again, it'll change from monthly from the 22nd of May.
I have a worry that somebody might think it hasn't started yet.
Just say again, Richard.
I have a worry about that someone might think, oh, this group hasn't started yet, or it's only just started. I haven't missed anything.
Okay, yeah, okay.
It might, you know, rolling date, you could put in Monday, next session, 21st of May or something. Next session would be okay.
Well, in fact, yeah, with that view, I would be quite happy with monthly on third Mondays, fortnightly on Fridays, monthly on first Tuesday. Yeah.
I quite like your suggestion there, Richard, that it's actually saying monthly. Next meeting is 22nd of May.
Yeah. That could be bracketed after it or something.
Yes, it could, yeah. And that would give you something else other than monthly to put there, wouldn't it? You wouldn't just be a sort of start monthly.
Yeah. Would that only update
No, it
when you go into the page.
No, it wouldn't. I hadn't realised it hadn't updated it in the group list as well. It should every time you go there. Yeah, I can see why it doesn't. But that's fine. We can get over that issue.
What about the groups that do have a start and end date, like the bowls club and people like that, who are just run from, say, March to September?
So just say again, Dave, sorry.
The outside sports is only run during the summer period, like the bowls club.
But you wouldn't do them as a rolling one, then, would you? You'd have them as they are at the moment. It wouldn't change anything like that. It would only be the rolling 12 monthly ones that would change.
Right.
So, is everybody happy we do that?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any dissenters?
So it's only the rolling dates. Everything else stays the same.
Only rolling dates. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Fine.
That's great. Thank you very much, all of you.
Okay.
And thanks, Chris.
Right. Well, just before we go on, is everybody else happy with the format of this? Forget the rolling ones. Everybody happy with what the other ones say now, with the monthly and the third monthlies and that sort of thing? Is that okay? I mean, it's been like that for many years.
Yeah, no problem.
Can't say it's troubled us.
Yeah.
Right. Good.
Can I just say, please, Chris, when I'm putting theatre trips on, I'm always getting muddled with the start date, the application date, and the closing date. Because it's a one-off thing, and I want them to start paying as soon as I go live.
So this is the payment group.
Yes.
So you've got to, and you're putting it in, and so you want to, you put the start date and the end date the same.
Yeah.
Because they're the same, because there's only one of them, I guess.
Well, the start date and the end date, I always put for the end date the date that I'm going to stop taking money. But that's obviously wrong, isn't it?
Yes, I think it's the start date and the end date should be the date of the actual event.
Right.
Then your, application date is the date at which the first application can be made to join that group.
Thank you.
And then the closing date is when you won't take any more payments after that point. So,
Thank you. That makes it much clearer.
okay, great. Good. Right. Okay. The next thing is non-tiny pages. What's if you use TinyMCE? You do a lot. Go back to. There are some restrictions there in terms of what you can put into it, and sometimes it does do some slightly strange things. So what I've put together is called non-tiny updates. Basically, here any page which you can update with TinyMCE, not emails but web pages. You can. So, for instance, here are all the pages.
Can't see that, Chris. You can't see the drop down.
You can't see my drop down.
No, never happened to.
No.
Okay, you just have to trust me that I've got a whole list here of pages. So now is that big enough? Probably not.
Well, I can see that now. Yes.
Is it big enough for you?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No. Hang on. That better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I put here is the HTML detail that make up, and below it is the page, what it is at the moment. So you can bypass TinyMCE by putting in what you want to. So Tiny always puts these key things in the start of everything, and so you can change all this and put your own HTML there, or change what they put there, and it's just a way of getting around some of the issues that we were getting. It does also mean you can put JavaScript in there as well. So you can, so if for anybody who's interested in doing some more stuff actually on the screen itself, you can put JavaScript entries in there. But you've got to be careful with JavaScript because you can mess the whole thing up. But it's there, it is available there. That's a very gives you an awful lot more power, if you like, over what goes on the web page and what you can do, and you can do things with, you can make it flash and you can make all sorts of things which you do when it's loaded and doesn't have JavaScript you use when you don't need to go back to the server. So if you want to make a change based on somebody clicking something, then you can do that. You can turn things on, and at the moment we've got things like the accordion, which you can use, which is the thing which opens up several pages at a time. That's usable because the JavaScript for accordion is stored elsewhere in the system, but you can put your own stuff in there if you want to, and so it's there.
How do you get to that, Chris?
There's a new menu item in 11.7.
All right.
And so not only can you change the web pages, you can also change the group descriptions as well if you want to. So in that same drop down that you can't see, you can change the group descriptions and the group second pages. So when clicking on it, you'll find that they're all there. So there's probably, I don't know, on mine there's about 200 pages there you can actually change yourself if you want to directly.
And that'll take HTML that TinyMC would strip out, or would it?
It would, yes. It takes you put anything you like in there, and it absolutely takes what it is. If you, but you've got to be very careful. If you put in things like you don't put enough divs in, it can mess the whole page up.
Yeah. So I've seen that. It's all right.
So you do have to be careful. It's but it does give you much more power in able to change pages if you want to. So that's in 11.7. So right, okay. You're going to find that useful?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that intended to be an administrative function rather than generally available?
It is. Oh, it is definitely an administrative. It's only on the administrator at the moment. Yes, I would definitely not let anybody else have it if I were you. Well,
you don't force it to be in the administrator's menu. You just recommend.
Well, it is. It is in the administrator's menu. So,
okay.
So although I've listed it there, it's only available to administrators. So if I log out and go in as the treasurer, you won't see that menu item.
Okay, got it. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
I'll put it there just please. Right, okay. The next thing was, Neil, you were having problems with Google Meet and using the meeting function in groups.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is that Google have upped their security and it made it much more difficult to actually link directly into a Google page. And so at the moment, I haven't cracked how to do it.
Well, we've got 3 groups using it currently still, and I don't, having spoken to him, I don't see it being a real issue now, because all they need to do is to log into a Google session with the CNN U3A.org.uk addresses, select a link to start the meeting, and then just paste it into a group email. So, I mean, it's not really particularly onerous. No, but it's the problem. I suppose the question I'm asking is whether or not anybody even uses them anymore. Obviously, it was worthwhile doing during COVID, but does anybody really use the Google the Meet facility inside the groups? We had 3 groups still using it, but I mean, I've talked to them now and they can manage without it. So I wouldn't suggest that you spend a lot of time doing it.
No, we don't use it.
I don't think.
No, we don't use it.
Yeah. Our groups that have got the facility, I don't think they use it either.
Yeah, I've taken it out anyway. Yeah.
I don't think our groups use it either anymore.
No. Okay.
You soon find out. Turn it off.
It will save a lot of time, a lot of messing about. So
Yeah. I think they'll be fine.
And I'll let everybody know that it looks like nobody uses it anyway. So that's
Deprecated, Chris. That now.
Say again.
Deprecated now.
Yes, there's a word. Yes.
If anyone's using it surreptitiously, when they come through and complain to the administrator, just turn around and say it's Google. It's their fault. It don't work anymore.
They've done it. Right. Nothing to do with us.
Okay, good. That's fine. I will remove that then. Right. The next thing was that we were talking some months ago. We talked about being able to show the newsletter in a much smarter way, and I don't know how many people took that up. I know one or two started. Whether they ever did, I don't know. So it was just a thought that maybe it might be just worth a reminder on what that is and how to do it, because it's pretty impressive. It bit of software if you use it, and I thought so. Alan is going to. Well, in fact, Alan's one of Alan's.
Hang on. You were about.
People are going to tell you about it.
You were about to say Alan's volunteered. No, he was press ganged.
No, I didn't say volunteered. Yeah.
Right.
Over to you then.
Right. If you'd like to stop sharing, Christopher, you're in for a treat. Because I do like to play, and to save you having to put up with me umming and erring my way through a presentation, you're about to meet Phoebe from Peterborough U3A. Stand by for Phoebe.
Welcome to a short video on using the Flipbook software called pub.html5. So what is pub.html5? It's a software package that enables you to publish your newsletter as an online magazine. It's presented in a format where the viewer turns pages just like a paper magazine at the pace they wish to read at. It should be noted there are other Flipbook offerings out there. Pub.html5 isn't the only one. So how does this help? As I said, it turns a simple page news sheet into a book style, and makes your e-newsletter look like a real magazine. Articles can be given interactive elements, like links to other documents, and even video clips, so adding interest for the reader. And a really big plus is, it enables distribution at zero cost. As with everything, there are always pitfalls with new technology. So what are the downside with pub.html5? Well, firstly, you will almost certainly have members who have no internet or a device to view an online magazine. Then there will be members who do have the internet, but simply refuse to read an online publication, on a matter of principle. And finally, reading a Flipbook magazine on a smartphone is not the best, due to size. It is usable, but is rather small. But, enough of the negatives. Let's look at the costs of using pub.html5. There are options. There is a free version, which is perfectly adequate for most U3As. Peterborough did take up the lowest paid version, simply because you do get a few extra facilities. This was possible because we found that we were saving so much on printing and distribution costs, that we were still quids in, even when paying for the facility. If you are interested enough, then let's look at where to get pub.html5 from. If you go to this URL, https://pub.html5.com/ you can view all of the benefits of the facility. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, assuming you are impressed, there is a link to sign up for the free version, if you want to try it out. Now, let's take a look at how you manage the pub.html5 flipbooks. There are two options. Firstly, and most simply, you can upload and administer your flipbook from a web page. You create the newsletter in PDF format from whatever package you prefer to use. For instance, MS Word, or maybe MS Publisher, or any software where you can save it as a PDF. The choice is yours. Once created, from the web page, you can upload your file, change settings on how it displays, and then share it by your preferred method. The second option on administering your e-newsletter is to download the desktop app from pub.html5. This gives more control and options on display that are not available from the web-based admin console. Okay, so you've created your e-newsletter and uploaded it to pub.html5. Now you want to display it, or share it, with your members. There are two ways you can share the publication via U3AWeb. The first is to create a library display that will contain all of your past publications and the most recent one. This is done using an iframe HTML code, which you add to your preferred page in U3AWeb. The second display method is to show just the current publication using a different iframe code that is supplied by pub.html5. Another possibility for sharing your newsletter is to publish it via other platforms. It is very simple to make the newsletter available via Facebook, Twitter, Google+, or WhatsApp. Okay, that's all from me. Thanks for listening. I will now hand you back to Alan to show you a live demonstration of how Peterborough U3A use pub.html5 for their e-newsletter.
So let me shut that down. Right, this is our live system. Okay, so are you seeing that, by the way?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Right, so they can click on, so this is doing it via a library, and I said that you got more, so we go back quite a way, but we now put a pretty picture on the front. So if we go to the latest one, click on there, it gives you the option to view. There it is, but it's in very small form. Now I don't know if this is going to work when I show it to you. Up the top there, can you see that link open in new window?
Yeah.
If I click on there, now you've got to tell me, are you now seeing it in a larger window?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Right. Okay. So you can see there we've got links. So this is for a survey that we're running at the moment. If we go in, you can get rid of that noise, by the way. You can turn that off.
Oh, I didn't hear anything.
Oh, did you not? Thank God for that. Right. It drives me mad. So you just flick the pages over. If you want to see where are we? I can't see the blooming thing. Where's it gone? Is it that one? Yeah, there you go. Can you see that pop up?
Yeah.
Right, so if they decided that they wanted to go in and go to our monthly meetings, which are called Tea and Talk, they can click on there, in theory, and it goes straight to the Tea and Talk thing. So this gives you the bits about Tea and Talk. You can put as many pictures in as you like. There is very little limitation on what you can do with this. You're not limited to... there are limits on the pages, but I doubt if any U3As are going to beat that limit. So you merrily flip through and they can read it. They can make it even bigger if they want by clicking on there. So you can go as big as you like. Let's get rid of that table of contents. We'll come down a little bit. And we found this very, very useful.
It looks better. That's for sure.
Questions?
How many people have you got working on this?
We've got one editor who is, she's a new editor learning how to do it. And she gets stuck at times, so I sort of dig in every now and again because I know the software. Or if I don't know it, I'll find out where it goes. But we've literally got one person creates the PDF. She gets the articles in from the group leaders and chairman, sends something in every month and publish all bits of. She just puts it together in a PDF using Publisher, and then you post it and it's there, and we then just send out an email telling everyone that it's there, and they can click on the link to view it.
It does look nice as 2-page format.
Yeah. I mean, you can change the format, Neil, to whatever you want. As you can see, we've got links down here. Where are we? Hang on a minute. Here we go. So that one there is about Sunday singles, and we always have a link whenever we're talking about groups. So if we click on that here, and it takes them straight back to whatever the group page is, so you can link straight back to the beast. Trying to think what other.
Can you just show how you created it in U3AWeb then?
Right, in U3AWeb, okie dokie, log in, hang on, log in, system details, newsletter, there you go. Right, So there's what we've done. This is using the standard newsletter page, and what they give you, Pub HTML5, give you some iframe stuff that you put in there. So if I go tools source code, and all you do is what they give you. Can anyone see the iframe? There you go, iframe. Down to there. That is the text that puts it up in iframe. Okay, that's the HTML that you just paste in there within whatever else you're using.
Yeah. So all the rest yours then, all the rest of it.
All the rest is my old waffle and what have you. Feel free to click away.
That if you look in the release notes for 11.7, that little bit of section is in there. What you need to add.
Oh right, okay.
So all you need to do is to do what Alan says in terms of loading it up to Pub HTML5 or whatever it's called, and then you can just put the link that's there.
Yeah.
And it's there for you.
Okay. Any questions?
No, looks very good.
We've saved so much money doing this. If you're a larger U3A, you will save bundles. I mean, Neil, this probably applies to you.
No, I've already stopped. We don't send it out anymore.
Oh, right.
The presentation's not like that, so that'd be a breaking through.
Yeah, but as I say, the free version is very good. We just happen to go for the first paid for version. There are various levels, but not.
Is anybody else using it? Is anybody else using it? No, I think Flintshire did use it at one point. I don't know.
Yeah, what's happened to Stephen?
He's resigned, we'll say.
Oh, he resigned, did he?
Yeah.
Right, so let me come back to the meeting. Hang on, and stop sharing.
Alan,
yes.
Alan, if we leave it in the frame that's on the U3A webpage, then a portrait format, we use a PDF newsletter. Like our colleague said, we don't send out any paper except to about a dozen who haven't got email.
Right. Yeah.
So we've been sending out PDFs by email all the time. Just looking at it on my screen, which is very much landscape, I think it might help me if we did our PDF originally in landscape format. I just think it might fit better. Have you tried experimenting? And do we know how many people would, are using? If you're on a phone, it's got to be portrait, probably. Well,
yeah,
I don't know.
Unless you turn it, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, with if you're using it on a smartphone, if you sling your phone round to landscape, it's still the actual document still comes up in portrait, but it's just a little bit bigger and a little bit easier to read. It is.
I'm just wondering if I think it looks really nice, and I'd like to move to it.
I thought so.
But I'm wondering if I get our newsletter person to produce a PDF in landscape first.
Yeah, we.
If you're going to do 2-page up, Richard, then you probably want it in two portraits together, wouldn't it be? Make a landscape shape, wouldn't it?
If it's an A4, it will be landscape basically. Pages.
Yeah, we didn't play with that at all. We didn't do that at all. So I mean, what the capabilities are, I don't know. But Pub HTML5 seems to take any PDF you upload, and it will quite happily deal with it. But if you sign up for if you take the free one, you can play around with it. If it doesn't suit, you haven't paid anything, you just dump it and go back to whatever you were doing before.
Yeah, thanks. Very interesting.
Anyone got anything else they want to ask? We found that our readership, we can now track how many people are reading it. You get stats within Pub HTML5. When we were sending out paper version, we had no clue whether it was going through their letterbox and making its way down the hall and straight in the bin. But at least now we can see who's opened Pub HTML5, and we know that we now go monthly, and in any month we're getting at least 1,400 hits out of 2,200 members.
You produce that monthly?
We now do that monthly, yeah.
Oh, that's a big thing for the editing.
Yeah, Anne's a good girl.
Yeah.
Right, any other questions? No? I mean, if anyone wants to know anything, just send me an email and I'll sort of talk you through it individually, as it were, if you get any problems. But it's relatively easy. Right, Chris, back to you, mate.
Okay, good. Right. The last thing on the list I had, anyway, was that we've sort of made some progress towards being able to get information out of the system and loading it into, well, certainly Google's calendar. I think last time we showed, or Alan showed, what he'd done with his, he'd set up a Google Calendar and then was presenting it on his front page as a, I don't know whether you just briefly just show us that again, Alan.
Yeah, hold on. Right, log out. Right, there we go. And there's the calendar thing on the right-hand side. And this feeds from a Google Calendar.
Right. Yes. So, and if you've got more events coming months ahead, it'll show them all, and you'll just work your way through them, and you can go backwards as well if you want. It's quite powerful in a software, and you can just include it in with an iframe into your web page. So the step forward we've made since then is being able to extract the example we've done, but it can be anything really. The example we've done so far is extracting the meetings setup and also the outings as a file, which you can just import straight into a calendar, which you can either have as your own calendar, or you can do what Alan's done here, has put it into a calendar and then use that little bit of Google software to present it if you wanted to do that.
Yeah. So what Chris has done with this extract, he takes all of the data that's in this page, which is your monthly meetings and what's the other one?
Events.
We've renamed it events, trips and travel, but it's basically any of our things like Gardeners Live, routes and what have you. So it extracts those. Sorry, Chris, go on.
Yeah, so that was just an experiment to do something, and it's a very early stage, but the sort of things it can lead to is being able to, an individual member could extract all their groups that they're a member of, the groups that they're a member of, and import that into their Google Calendar if they wanted to do that. So their calendar would show what meetings they've got and that sort of thing, and it could also have the monthly meeting in there as well, and it could have the so those sort of features are sort of available now if people think it's worthwhile having a look at and doing a bit more work on. So what do you think?
Looks good.
Yeah, that's very good.
Of interest to people other than
Yes.
Yeah,
might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, one thing we haven't been able to do yet, and it's not to say we can't do it, is at the moment that file that it's a file basically. Just you have a menu item on the side. You click it, and it would end up as a file download to your machine, and then all you do is import that into the calendar. So you have to go into the settings and import. If we can find a way around so to make it more automated, so that you perhaps could link it directly by pushing a button, load it into the calendar. And the good thing about Google Calendar is if you load it one week and then load it again, it says, you've already got this item, so it doesn't load it twice. It says it's already there and doesn't do it again. Which I thought was great.
That was a question I was going to ask, Chris. Does it?
Yeah, how do you clear out the old? You don't need to. It recognises with the same name and the same date. It says, right, okay, and says when it gives a little message, it says we haven't loaded that one because you've already got it. So if people are interested, then I'll do a bit more research to find out whether or not we can automate it even further. But that was the question to ask today, really, whether it's worth doing that and that people will use it if we do. If so, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, we'd certainly use it at an admin level, and it will be a case of education for the members and what have you to see if they use it. Pass, no idea.
Right. Okay.
Chris, Alan mentioned that you used it to extract from outings, etc. Was that just for a test, or are you thinking of replacing outings with this type of mechanism?
No. It was just a test, just to be able to see. There's a file format called ICS, and it was really just to create an ICS file in such a way that Google will load it up. I hope that all the other calendars will also. It's an international standard accepted, so hopefully they will be able it isn't necessarily only Google Calendar, it's all the other calendars as well. All the
You're
major.
just using outings as a source rather than looking to replace it or enhance
No,
it.
I wasn't looking. No. It's just, this is purely an experiment, really. Just what do we want to do and how do we want to do it, really?
Okay, thanks.
It definitely loads into an Outlook calendar. I can guarantee that, because I was playing yesterday with the file that Chris sent down, and I somehow mistakenly immediately uploaded it into my personal Outlook calendar, and I thought, this isn't where I want to go.
So that's great. So hopefully that's I think I got a few yeses anyway.
So it might be close to managing to squirt all your meetings into a calendar then.
That's the idea. Yes.
Yeah.
So you could go through and pick all your group meetings out. You probably only for 6 weeks ahead or something.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because things change, but it would be certainly a way of doing something. Yes. Yeah. So well, I know you talked about that years ago, didn't you?
Yeah.
So maybe there is a way we can achieve it. Sure. Right. Good. Okay. Well, I'll do a bit more, and then perhaps we'll talk about it next month again and see where we get to. Right. Okay. So we've got a few minutes left. Anybody want to talk about anything else? Questions?
I got a question for Alan.
Yo.
About your Pub HTML5 that you mentioned. Looks very impressive on your website. Do you just leave it on the website and expect people to read it there, or do you distribute it by email to all your members?
Yeah, what we do is we've got a bulk email thing, and we literally, it's almost a case of your latest, we call it Pulse, Peterborough Pulse, and we email them out with the link to take them to it, and every single member that's got email gets that, whether they ask for paper as well or not.
Right, thank you very much. Thank you.
And you're getting the numbers as well. Does Pub HTML5 give you those numbers and the reviews?
Yeah, they've got stats on their thing. I would take you to it, but I can't remember where the devil it is now. But yes, you can get stats on how many hits your particular publication has had.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Anything else anybody else wants to talk about? Anything else anybody wants to talk about next month? Because it's always a bit of a problem trying to find things to raise or go through or whatever. So please send me a note with things that you think might be worthwhile doing. All right, good.